Okay, turd knockers. This podcast is brought to you by a cup of coffee in my hand right now. It's so good I don't even want to share it. Oh, it's a good cup of coffee. All right. Not too long ago, I said I'd do a breakdown on the first 24 hours of a crisis response. And you keep in mind, I'm a 25-year firefighter. I've worked on all kinds of stuff. I've participated in a great deal of active shooter drills when I was working law enforcement and higher end security. The biggest crisis you can face, no matter what the doomsayer speakers or tactical false prophets tell you, is a natural disaster. Nature always wins. Nuclear bomb, quarter of the country. Coronal injection, a massive corona injection from the sun, which is super solar flare to most of you. We're all gone. There's always one better in nature, you know. EMP, okay. EMP wipes out like part of the seaboard. Earthquake, plate tectonics, you learn all that shit. You know, you can't put an earthquake out with a fire hose. You can't stop a tsunami, you know, the tidal push on the beach, you know, when the storm's over and the waves start coming in. You can't fill enough sandbags to stop that shit. So you got to shift gears. Yes, we are at war with, I don't know, somebody in the Middle East, Iran, I guess this time. I don't know. I don't even care anymore. I mean, I care about the people going over there, but, you know, I can't affect the politics of it. I'm just going to sit back and let it unfold. I have faith in the United States military, and believe it or not, I got quite a bit of faith in the redheaded lunatic to put an end to this. So, orange-haired, redhead, whatever you want to call it. I just, people don't understand that they get all these beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. They have all this gear, all this shit in their house. They have all this, you know, what do they call those things? Geiger counters for the big bad Soviets launch a nuke. They got all that shit. But do you think any of them are truly prepared for an earthquake or a flood, you know, like a tsunami or, anything? You know, what are you going to do? How many bullets can you use to stop a landslide? You know what I mean? It's just, you have to think 360. These people get so pigeonholed into thinking about any disaster that comes along, I can stop with my AR-15, and then they have to stop and think which end of the damn thing they put the bullets in because they don't even practice with that. So you got to free your mind. Start thinking 360. This 24-hour crisis that I want to talk about, the crisis response right now, is based on FEMA and the government NIMS. I'm going to talk about it when we get down in the podcast, but the NIMS, if I'm completely honest, I think it's what is it, National Incident Reporting, I don't know, something like that, NIMS. Hang on, I'll look it up. I'll give you the def. But in the fire department, you have to take all the NIMS. And I will tell you, it is like watching paint dry. National Incident Management System. That's what it stands for. I knew I was close. But it's all good information to have. You know, you ask yourself right now, do you know what's going to happen in the first minute from the government standpoint? The first 10 minutes from the government standpoint? Or when do they even kick in? At what point in a 24-hour crisis? You don't know. Just face it. Don't bullshit. You don't know. Teach yourself. Take the time to learn. You know, I'm happy that people are reaching out, that people are taking the time to try to learn something from these podcasts. Hell, I'm even flattered that this Yahoo, I think down in Texas, is copying our shit on here. By the way, I do like the hat. I just wish you would email me and we could collaborate rather than you copying our shit. But to be honest, it's reaching the people one way or another, whether it's from my mouth or his, as long as people are getting trained on what to do in emergencies. And they're not just standing there with their thumbs up their ass looking for somebody else to do something. So let's talk about it. 24 hours, the first 24 hours, crisis response. Your role, whether it's the leader of the MAG or the leader of your family I'm assuming that if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to be in charge of the shit when it's hitting the fan. So this is geared for you. This isn't for, the person that, standing outside filling the sandbags while everybody else is talking tactics. This is for the person that's going to be running the show to give them an idea how things will unfold. All right? So all you turd knockers out there, pay attention. That's your new name, Turd Knocker. And wait, I need more coffee. Hold on. Oh, shit, that's good coffee. All right, let's hit it hard. Let's jump right into this. The most critical window in any search, any type of emergency, your critical window is going to be your first 24 hours of a crisis. Sometimes, like you got a house fire, you don't got 24 hours, but I'm talking about a real crisis, regional or national, something like that where FEMA would be involved. Whether it's a natural disaster, public health emergency, or a man-made incident, what happens in a short period of time determines the scale of the impact. And now this is important, the speed of the recovery time. It's very important, and that's why I'm saying pay attention to this. You can bounce back from most things as long as your city isn't swallowed into the earth. You can bounce back. But this is it's going to fall back a lot on your preparedness. It's going to fall back on your survivor instinct. We're not talking about the warrior thing right now. We're talking about the survival mindset. That's what applies to this. All right, shit hits the fan. Bam, boom, splash, whatever it is. Okay, bam, boom, splash. Bam would be your solar eclipse, boom would be your earthquake, and splash would be your flood. So just go with bam, boom, splash. I just created that. Let's see how many people copy that shit. We're going to talk about the first moments of the crisis, and I'm talking like a minute from 0 to 60 seconds. And meathead, you better listen to this, because this is where you got to sack up and kick it in the ass. You can cry about your feelings later. You're going to have to step up. And you're standing there with your chest puffed out saying, yeah, I'm the leader of the group. You're going to be the first one to collapse if you don't plan ahead of time. Some old lady's going to step up, push you to the side, and take charge. You need to think about this now. So just listen. First 60 seconds, the very first thing you're going to do when the dust settles, the table stops shaking, there's already a guy, like I said earlier, running down the street on fire, screaming, let him go, he'll burn out eventually. You're responsible for your mag, and here it is. First thing you're going to do is you're going to stop and assess your surroundings and immediate threats. That's the first thing you're going to do. Are you exposed? Is it winter time and, half your house collapsed? What is going on? You got to figure this out. And I would recommend writing it down if you have access to a pen and paper. Don't do none of that verbal tape recording shit. Write down, take your assessment while you're doing this, okay? You're going to identify immediate danger. Is there a gas leak? Is there, you're stored up down in the basement, and is the sewer backing up into the basement? The bad guys are not going to come into play yet. They don't come into play for a while. You're not thinking about grabbing guns and bullets and slingshots and, whatever. That's later. That's after the 24 hours. I'm not even going to touch on that right now, all right? You have to be able to assess whether you're safe where you are, or if you have to move your group, if there is a group, to safety. And if possible, get out of sight. You don't want to be sitting there with blankets around you, where people are looking at you. Just get. If you're out of sight, chances are you're out of a wind draft. If you're out of a wind draft, you're already beating the cold a little bit, okay? Now, you are the one that really needs to avoid panic. Other people need to panic. It's a natural coping mechanism. If some people want to panic, let them panic, but take control of it. Just let it happen a little bit. Don't let it get out of control. Let them vent a little bit and then snap them back. I'm all for a good slap to the face, to be completely honest with you. That shit actually works. It's not just in the movies. The idea is you want to do something that's going to cause them to have to stop and take a deep breath. They have to make the conscious thought of I'm out of air. What do I do? And in that time, that instant, you have control again. And I swear to God, that's how it works. I enjoy a good punch to the solar plexus. That really gets people quiet and under control. And the rest of the group will fall in line if you drop somebody to their knees. I promise you. They're going to live. You're not going to kill them. You got to hit them really hard to stop their heart. So don't even worry about that. Just smack them or knock the wind out of them. They will get under control after that. That is called deliberate action. This is why we practice to cool our shit down and act with purpose. We lead by example, and if need be, we'll knock somebody to their knees to get them under control. You have to maintain. You have to prevent hysteria. One person, if they get out of control and they start screaming too much and they start yelling, everybody's going to follow suit. So let the one person or everybody get a little bit, stressed out, and then get it under control again. And this is all in the first minute, I'm telling you. You got to do a lot in the first minute. You got to shit and get. So you're going to go, first minute's under control. You got the guy laying on the floor gasping for air. Everybody else is looking at you like, why'd you do that? Now you have their attention, okay? Let everybody know. If you're not where you need to be, you let everybody know. Get ready to move. We're moving as a group. Whatever you can carry, nothing crazy, but we're going to shit and get your shit together. The guy laying on the floor, if he's still rolling there, you might have to help him up. If he starts screaming again, follow previous procedures. He will get the hint. Only evacuate the area if directed and you're in an unsafe shelter. Do not plan on evacuating right away. The worst thing you can do is run and turn over a perfectly good, well-stocked shelter to somebody else. Hang on, wait and see if they're coming door to door evacuating houses. Now, if your house is rubble at this point and you can't even get to the basement, well, then you're going to have to evacuate. But for the most part, if your house is still standing and it's not a structural disaster, get there and wait. Don't be sitting there getting guns out and start doing patrols in the yard and shit. That's later. Do not do any of that shit, all right? The problem is if you have people coming to the house, FEMA or something like that, and they're doing an evacuation, and you're sitting there cleaning guns on top of, 20 cases of MREs, guns and MREs are going to absorb into their inventory. What was yours is now theirs. You will not be able to take guns to shelters if they do a mandatory evacuation. You won't get any of that. So think about it. Keep your shit on lockdown. This is just the first 10 minutes. Why would you be going through all this shit? I know some people go right to the gun, but that's not the way this works. Not during a natural emergency. Check on your family. Check everybody out. This is a time when you get to do your primary assessment of the people around you. Are they in shock? Are they bleeding? Is there like a nail sticking out of their head that they don't even know about because they're in shock? Check everybody out. Make sure everybody's okay. You are in charge. All right? Don't forget, there's a really good chance if it's a natural disaster or even a regional disaster that FEMA is going to be making advertisements across your cell phone. If you think of it, if you have the presence to think of it, maybe turn your phone off vibrate, let your phone ring, because you will be getting alerts. Probably the best alerts you're going to get, better than people driving around with bullhorns and Humvees. That FEMA notification you get on your cell phone is the bomb. That's the good stuff. All right? Limit your phone use to emergencies to keep networks open for as long as they will work. You should already have a radio plan, when to go to radios, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this is the time to go to radios if that's what your plan dictates. You need to take all that into consideration, because what's going to happen is you guys are going to overload the network, the cell phone networks. It's going to crash, and then there won't be any cell phones. Holy shit, that yawn came out of nowhere. This is the time, though, where if you have sprains, bumps, lumps, abrasions, you're gonna begin your basic first aid. You're gonna tend to the basic first aid. If you have what do you want to call it, a compound fracture where the bone's sticking out and blood squirting across the room, that's okay. That goes up to the top of the list. That moves up in priority. But just like an abrasion on the arm, or maybe a small burn, or somebody gets a splinter or something like that, that can wait until even after this. But if you need to perform some first aid, you're going to do it now. And basically the main thing you're going to be doing is looking for people to be in shock if there was a natural emergency. And all you're going to do is make them comfortable, bundle them up, just hang tight. Don't be starting to give them water just yet. Keep an eye on them. People in shock can aspirate on water very, very easily if they're, depending on what kind of shock they're in. That's a whole nother problem you got to deal with. So just hold off on the water at first. Don't be handing out water and everything. Get everybody under control first, and then figure out what you're going to do as far as water goes. Don't forget Pop-Tarts, Twinkies, even Tootsie Rolls work wonders in a stressful situation to calm people down, especially children. Keep that in mind also. All right. So you got past the first 10 minutes. Everybody's still alive, kicking. The guy that was running down the street on fire is finally out. He doesn't have much to say at this point. He's just smoldering. We're in minute 10 to 60. All right, your first hour. We're going to drill down on that a little bit. Now you're going to do a more detailed threat assessment. Okay, you've got everybody basically under control. And I know 10 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, but if you're organized and you've practiced, you're going to be under control in 10 minutes. That's why we practice. That's what muscle memory is all about. So like I said, Gomer, this is your first 10 minutes. You know, after the first 10 minutes, you're going to be doing your detailed threat assessment. And you're going to continue to reassess every half hour for now. Hold on, coffee time. All right, if you can't get to your shelter, you're going to follow official instructions from authorities. It's what you got right now. It's what you're going to deal with. If you can't get to your shelter, you're going to listen to FEMA and the government. If they're there, you're going to listen to the radios. You're going to listen to law enforcement. FEMA's not going to be there yet. I don't know what I'm talking about. You're going to listen to the fire department, law enforcement. You know, anybody in official capacity, you're going to listen to them for now. If you have security or if you have emergency supplies, you know, if you are back in your shelter, if you have emergency supplies, you're going to stash that shit. You're going to cover it up so nobody's going to see them if they knock on your door and come in your house. Nobody should see anything. As a matter of fact, this is when you go into that bullshit. Hey, when are we going to get water? When are we going to get food? You know, my people are going to starve without food. You don't tell anybody you got anything. Nobody else is your responsibility except for your mag. You're gonna monitor reliable information sources only. So that means now you have to take the time to figure out what news is decent and what news is bullshit. You do that now. You don't wait for the emergency. Okay. You really don't want to be making a lot of communications outside your mag. People are going to be walking around the street. It's human nature to fill voids in information with bullshit. I think they actually make a special shovel for this for some of these people that they're so busy filling voids in information with bullshit. Don't be discussing shit with people outside your mag. Work on the official communications channels. That's it. We're still not displaying weapons at this time. Not even a thought. Okay. They might have already gotten some. Emergency services might have gotten some information from FEMA already, depending on how regional this accident is or this incident is. You're just going to lay it back and calm down and keep things under control right now. You may start to see the FEMA alerts. You may start to hear about road closures, or you might be seeing them making road closures right out in front of your house. You're going to see an increased presence of emergency personnel. Like I said, depending on how small of an emergency this is, mutual aid clauses come into effect, and you're going to have fire departments coming from all over the place up and down the country. Just like if you live in Florida when it's hurricane season and they announce a hurricane's coming in, you see all these, utility trucks and electrical trucks and tree service trucks coming in and pulling into the really big parking lots. They're from out of state. Some of them are from New England. They're coming all the way down to Florida because there's going to be work. Same thing. You're going to see emergency services from all over the place. Your role during the first hour is to remain informed, keep your people safe, and avoiding confusion. Calm and informed individuals make a real difference in how effectively a crisis is managed. Your mag is going to follow your example. If you're in charge, if you're freaking out, they're going to freak out. You got to keep your shit cool. Use measured responses to situations, and if you are asked questions, don't fabricate answers. If you don't know the answer, admit it. If the only news is bad news and you're asked, you got to tell them. Don't sit on anything. All right? So we got through the first hour. Everybody's still alive. Somebody took the guy that was smoldering, that was on fire. He's not a concern anymore. Let's work into the first 3 hours now. We're past the first hour into 2 and 3. You are going to see chaos, depending on how bad the situation is. You look up and down the street, you're going to see chaos, depending on how rural you are, how city you are. The more city, the more chaos. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's going to go. You've got all the fire department, you've got the police, you've got everybody. It's going to be insane. People in the country know how to take care of themselves. Country folks stay alive. Country folk can survive. You have a lot to learn from them. But like I said, EMS. I'm going to see a flood of EMS. And you might hear the train in the background. There's nothing I can do about it. Here's the thing, and this is very important, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm there in a situation and this happens, I'm going to take the guy out at the knees and punch him in the throat, all right? Do not be the asshole that walks up to emergency services, police, fire department, ambulance personnel, whatever, and start demanding answers. Don't do it. Don't be a dick, all right? You are going to cause a break in their operations that could be saving a life, and you're going to pay for that. I will make you pay for that if I see it. Don't do it. All right? They're going to be moving quickly. You might be thinking, hey, why are you moving through out of my area? We still got this. They've prioritized already. They've triaged the situation already. They're going to go to the most critical things first. So, little Timmy with his, arm stuck in the fireplace, he's going to wait. He's not bleeding. He's not dying. He's not in shock. He's just crying. If he's crying, he's probably not in shock. They need to get to the people with the critical injuries and stuff like that. Too bad, Timmy. You shouldn't. Why would you stick your arm with the fireplace anyhow? Timmy's an idiot. All right. All right. First 3 hours, worst thing we're dealing with now is Timmy with his arm in the fireplace. Personally, I think it's natural selection if he gets stuck there forever. We're at hour 3 to 12 now. All right. This is when the state starts to roll in. This is when I start to drink more coffee. And like I started to mention before about don't be a dick bugging emergency services. This is when local resources are overwhelmed. So you hit that 3 to 12 hour mark. This is too much for them. It doesn't matter how much they're prepared. They don't have the resources. That's not their fault. That's the Democrats' fault for limiting the amount of money that the emergency resources get. Yeah, I said it. Deal with it. Your governor may have already declared a state of emergency that's going to unlock additional resources and legal authorities. You might be hearing rumors about National Guard deployment. As soon as hour 3, no bullshit, you might be hearing about National Guard deployment. Really, that's going to be more around the 8-hour mark because you still got dust settling. You're going to see an increase in mutual aid, fire departments and stuff. You're going to see resource distribution, which could be anything from a different way to charge fire department air packs all the way to people are coming around handing out popsicles to try to keep kids calm. I don't know, but let your imagination run wild on that one. But there is a resource distribution point. I understand the emergency service part of it. I'm not really entirely sure how it works with the people. I know the Red Cross comes in and tries to keep kids, people from starting themselves on fire and running down the street, but they try to keep that, and they try to keep kids kind of calm. They might have some stuffed animals, some candy, whatever. They're already starting to make hot dogs for the firefighters that are putting out fires. Don't bug them. They're not there for you. The state level emergency services people aren't going to come in fire trucks. They're going to come in big, like FEMA kind of command centers and stuff like that. Don't just stay clear of it. If they need you, they're going to come and grab you. Trust me. So we went through all that. Now we're at the 12th hour mark. If this crisis exceeds state capacity, the federal government is going to get involved. That decision will be made right around the 12, 14 hour mark. It won't be made before that unless it's just blatantly obvious. But if FEMA is completely mobilized, stay in your house and wait. Don't be doing nothing. Don't be running out asking answers. What difference does it make? If a meteorite's heading towards the Earth and it's going to kill everybody when it hits, what difference does it make if you know it? What are you going to do differently? You're going to finally go on that skiing trip? What are you going to do? So just stay in your house right now. Lock the doors. Sit on top of what you got. All right? Federal agents are going to get there. The federal agencies, I should say, are going to get there. They're going to start deploying specialized teams. They're the ones that are going to have the search dogs unfortunately, for live and dead people. They're going to have the big time logistical support to satellite communications and all that happy crap. Government, your insurance agencies might actually already be rolling in car insurance and house insurance. You might also be seeing, homeowners insurance departments coming in, setting up little like camps that they can help people that are already having problems. This happens very quickly. Ever since I think it was Hurricane Wilma, they've really, really, really honed this down to a real neat thing where they can get in there and set up. Their people bring their own shit. They're completely self-sufficient. They knock this shit out and leave, and your car is still buried under rubble, and you got a check in your hand for a new one. So don't get in their way. Let them do their thing. All right? And the coordination across all the federal agencies when it works is a beautiful thing. The National Response Framework guides all of this through the NIMS system. When the NIMS system is in full effect, which I talked about earlier, I recommend if you have time, take a couple of the NIMS courses. You want at least the 100 and the 700 course, okay? They're boring as hell, but what information you will get from this. You will glean so much information from it, okay? But what I was going to say is the National Response Framework, once they start communicating and everything's working right, it's a beautiful thing to watch. It really is. I've gone on enough of these drills, everybody knows it's a drill, but it's still, we take it fairly seriously when we do it. When the federal government kicks in and their communication system's working and everything's going, man, it is awesome. So we're still working inside the first 24 hours. I'm sorry, I got off subject. Communications is really the biggest challenge at this point, getting information out, accurate information out, instead of just, this is what we think. If you want to guess, a look in the dark, a really bad guess and probably not even close to the truth, just watch CNN. They'll fill your head with all that shit. ABC's not too far behind. MSNBC, I wouldn't waste my time. But yeah, if you want a bunch of bullshit, if you want to play full of bullshit, just turn CNN on. You might even hear, what do they call them things? The PA system set up, and they're going to be giving hourly updates and alerts over those. Those work pretty well. I've actually seen them working. The sound travels pretty good. They do it to a certain time, and then they stop, and then they start again in the morning. Press and media might be storming into the area within the first 24 hours. It's a possibility. Don't get caught up with that shit. Just stay away from them. Social media. If you have access to it with your phone to the internet, social media equals bullshit. Everyone with a podcast is going to be podcasting how the earthquake chased their spirit animal away and they blame Trump for it. Snowflake, go grab your dream catcher and go get your spirit animal. I'm behind you. You got this. No, bullshit. Freaks of nature, man. Just stay away from social media. Nobody knows anything on social media. It's all a bunch of shit. If you think you're going to get your news on TikTok, just stop listening to my podcast right now. Go away and don't come back. If you're that stupid, if you're that addicted to social media and you think TikTok is where the real news comes from, you're a fucking idiot. I don't even... what the hell? TikTok? I couldn't tell you last time I looked on TikTok. This is where I need to tell you the misinformation is going to spread quickly. So learn to sort the bullshit. How do you sort the bullshit? You only listen to reliable sources. That's why I'm saying stay away from this social media shit, this Facebook shit, this whatever there is. You're not going to see good stuff. You're going to see all the bad stuff on there. People, for whatever reason, don't want to take a picture of a baby smiling. They want to take a picture of some guy that got ejected from his car in a car accident, his head sticking in a tree. I don't get it. I don't know why people are into this shit, why people are drawn to this shit, this gore. I mean, maybe it's because I've been a firefighter for so long. I'm tired of seeing it. But, I mean, what is wrong with people? It's the same thing as these people that push all these pins into their faces and piercings and all that shit. What the fuck is wrong with you? And then you want to cry and moan because you can't get a job anywhere, and you think it's because of your appearance. Yeah, no shit. All that metal in your face is clouding your judgment somehow. I don't know. You just oh God, I'm sorry, getting on a tangent here. Don't like pierced faces. Don't like tattooed faces. Don't like blue hair. Don't like purple hair. What else don't I like? I don't like men that call themselves women. I don't like women that call themselves men. I don't like squirrels. They got these like little hands, these really little hands. They look like gray people hands. It's just creepy. I don't like squirrels. Well, the conclusion. All right, I'm sorry. Conclusion. Why the first 24 hours matter. The first 24 hours of a crisis are decisive. Strong coordination between local, state, and federal agencies can save lives, reduce damage, and set the stage for recovery. Preparedness, communication, and leadership all play vital roles. Your part is to keep your mag safe, organized, and calm. You will be amazed at who actually falls apart at the first sign of a crisis. So there we are. We would discover we got through the first 24 hours, okay? Bad news, Timmy's arm is still up in the chimney. He's probably going to lose his arm. But if that's the worst thing that happens, hey, Timmy brought it on himself. He shouldn't have been reaching up the chimney. My guess is he was going after a squirrel and wanted to look at their hands. I don't know for sure, but yeah, too bad for Timmy. Listen, y'all, crisis situation is not the same thing. I mean, I know what the hell is beeping now? Crisis situation isn't the same thing as when the enemy attacks, when the terrorist attacks. That's a different situation. I don't even know if I'm going to really do a podcast on that. I've got a great deal of tactical training, but I don't want to be teaching people to go dark and, set up a trap and do all this shit. Now, I don't know that I feel comfortable doing that because it's just going to get people hurt. Somebody's going to get caught in a crossfire. You're going to start shooting at a guy running down the road that was on fire, and his only crime is he was on fire. He was screaming. Yeah, I mean, you let them burn themselves out. You don't need to shoot them. But you let's just work with the stuff we're given. We're not commandos. We're not going to be taking care of bad guys and doing all that shit. We might talk a little bit about, the one-on-one, like when you're out shopping at church, at school, what to do. But I don't want to get in this whole terrorist bullshit that all the podcasters are getting into. You're going to provide no role in that. You are not going to take down a terrorist cell. You're not going to sniff out a terrorist cell. For Christ's sakes, you've probably been buying your falafel and euros or heroes or gyros or whatever they're calling them from a terrorist cell for the last 2 years. So get your head out of that. Just start planning for what you can plan and prepare for. If you don't have a plan for a natural disaster, I'm telling you, man, get your shit together and do it. This is important. If you don't have a communication plan for when to go from radio or from when to go from cell phones to radios, do it. If you don't have, a gallon of water for everyone involved for at least the first 3 to 7 days, do it. You are being so irresponsible if all you're doing is buying guns and bullets and laser sights and knives and I don't know. You're just being irresponsible. You do not need a $4,000 drone. What you need is canned goods and a can opener and a couple gallons of water. You need to get your head out of this shit. This prepper shit, it goes wrong real fast. It goes dark real fast, and it's supposed to be about saving the lives of the people you care about and your mag and yourself, not about, like I said, taking down terrorist cells. So this shit's already starting all over the place. You got to stop it. You're not going to be involved in it. Just start worrying about what you can worry about and what you can control. You got to have some faith in your government. You got to have some faith in the people in your mag. You got to have some faith in emergency services, because you have a much greater chance of being involved in a natural crisis than you do getting swept up in, FBI terrorist sting. So start this planning now. I'm not going to tell you again. You get this shit under control. Start planning now. Know what you're going to do. If you're experienced with this shit, you know what you're doing. Maybe you don't got to write it down. Maybe you know it all in your head. But maybe it's time to start discussing it with the people in your mag, if you haven't done that already. You can condition people to be less panicked than they would be if they're not conditioned. I'm not going to say they won't panic, but at least if they know, hey, we got some water, hey, we got some food, hey, we got some flashlights, hey, nobody in our group's on fire or got their arm stuck in the chimney, maybe it'll be a little bit better when this shit goes down. So use your heads. This takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of conviction. You know, which group are you going to be with? The one that comes out on top or the one that comes out begging FEMA for, a juice box and a Twinkie? It's your choice. Start thinking about it. If you got any questions, email me. You know where to look for my email. Watch your six, guys. Watch your fucking six. And as always, you know the deal. Peace out.